A federal judge ruled earlier this week that a gun law called the Second Amendment Preservation Act cannot be enforced by the state of Missouri. The Second Amendment Preservation Act essentially restricts local and state law enforcement agencies from carrying out federal gun laws. This is a way to hinder President Joe Biden's gun control legislation from being enacted in certain states. Joining now to discuss is Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson. Congressman, thank you for joining. You actually sponsored this very law when you were in the state legislature. This was a bill that you and your constituents obviously cared about. Were you surprised by this ruling? Give us your initial thoughts.
The decision was in the hands of an Obama-era appointed judge, right, in the Western District. And we typically get decisions like this out of the Western District. But I'm confident in our Attorney General, Andrew Bailey. He's going to take this to the next level and try to appeal it. And he said to me on the phone, he's willing to take this to the Supreme Court if he has to.
Well, it's fascinating, sir, that you mentioned the Missouri Attorney General, Andrew Bailey. He said he was going to take it up. He said he's confident the higher it goes, the better it will actually turn out for you guys. But one thing I have to ask you, he mentioned in a Twitter thread that he put up that this is a fight essentially about not only the Second Amendment, but the 10th Amendment. And the 10th Amendment really works and talks about federalism. It helps define federalism. Why, in your view, sir, is this specific fight so important when it comes down to defining the relationship between states like Missouri and that of the federal government?
Because it's extremely important that we are not told and forced to use our resources at whatever whims of the federal government, right? The state of Missouri has very precious resources in our law enforcement. We are limited, right? And we want those law enforcement officials focused on actual crime, things like murder, rape, theft, burglary, carjackings, things like this, right? They have enough to do. We don't need them commandeered by Joe Biden and whatever flavor of the month that he has to pass some gun-grabbing, rule, right? Whether it's pistol braces or next time it'll be magazines of a certain capacity. At the end of the day, our law enforcement needs to be focused on actual crime and what's impacting the lives of our citizens, not Joe Biden.
Well, sir, it's interesting because this is a case that has been greatly watched all over the country. The specific bill that you put forward and sponsored and helped get through. Iowa, we've seen in Iowa, there's some momentum for a very similar piece of legislation gaining momentum. So in your estimation, why is this bill so important for the rest of the country when it comes down to Biden's general goal to pass more and more gun control legislation on the American citizens, specifically districts and states that don't necessarily agree with what he's doing?
Right. Why are they targeting Missouri, if you will, in our version? Because our version actually has teeth in it. It's the one that is actually going to work. Many of the other states, sadly, are passing versions of SEPA or the Second Amendment Preservation Act that have no teeth in it, right? And what we realize is that if we don't have penalties in the bill, then it means nothing. So that's why the Biden administration sued the state of Missouri, because they know this is the one that's actually going to prohibit them from having law enforcement carry out their unconstitutional mandates.
Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson, sir, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.